Hello and welcome to the third video of today. We're going to take a look again at Buzzwole, but this time around in the Master League. And yeah, I actually didn't really want to make this a video, but as I tried to find a team for Circuitry, I stumbled on this 100% version of Buzzwole, and I thought, okay, maybe it would be funny to make 3 videos on one day and all about Buzzwole in every different league. So here we are. And what can I say? First game here already, Mewtwo wins 2 shields. And I don't know, what was can I say? Mewtwo wins 2 shields and switch advantage there. We have our Shando Mewtwo best buddied level 51. I finally best buddied this thing and I finally powered this thing up. Took me a while. We have our lead here with Dialga and we have our Buzzwole in the back. I went 5-0 in one set with this team and 3-2 in the other set with this team. First 3-2 by the way, and then 5-0. Main issue for this team is Charm. Like in general, like there's not a lot about Charm that I can do. If they have one Charm, okay, it's fine. We can play around it. We can go for our Mewtwo with the Side Strike here, which can take out this Pokemon. But if they have 2 Charmers, which happened to me, then I'm kinda screwed to be honest, because my backline doesn't really do that well with it. And also my Dialga doesn't really want to phase it too much, but otherwise, the Buzzwole was insanely good. And the thing is with Buzzwole as well, look at the typings that Dialga doesn't really want to face, look at the typings that Buzzwole doesn't really want to face. Those two together are basically a perfect core, like literally, it's really insanely good. The only problem would of course be the fairy types, which usually you can still deal a little bit with the Dialga, as you have the Iron Head and your steel typing. But other than this, like, it's such a good typing, it's such a good like combination together. Basically all the steel types, all the ground types that you don't really want to face with your Dialga, you can just destroy with the Buzzwole. And we destroyed a lot of opponents, and there was even one case, you're gonna see that later on, where we destroyed a Zacian with a Buzzwole, and you're gonna see how OP like the lunge can be and the counter can be over a while. It's kinda nice. As we lose twice CMP against this Mewtwo from the opponent with our Shadow Ball, even though we have a Shando best buddy maxed out there. I guess like I lost 2 times a coin flip as they both had 15 attack there. We see the next opponent coming in here. We see the Dialga against the Giratina Origin. Looks fine first. As we see here, we can just stay in. We can go for some moves. We should be pretty decent here. As we can now go for some Iron Heads. We see a Dialga coming in. I go for the Drake immediate just straight. Maybe they don't shield us. Maybe I get like in general get some shields here. Turns out they just decide to let their Dialga go. Fine for me, I can swap out into my Mewtwo now as we are debuffed. I don't really want to stay in this matchup, as we now can go for some Side Strikes or even for a Shadow Ball, which is definitely a one-shot here, as the Side Strike wouldn't even come close to KOing here. So we go for the Shadow Ball, no baits today, and it was worth it. Until we see this Togekiss. And you see already my Dialga doesn't really have a lot of health. My Buzzwole has literally nothing to do against this. I also don't have even coverage on this Pokemon. Like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't. Like, if I wish, I wish that thing had like a, what's called a rock type move or whatever. Would be kind of fitting, like Stone Edge or something. That would be really good for this Master League, because Lunge usually doesn't really get too much attention in this league. But yeah, Charm users for this team, a little bit tricky to be honest. But also always depends on the situation. We had a lot of Charm users that we really good, like that we really easily beat. Especially with our Mewtwo, that has the best buddy ribbon. As we see a Mewtwo without a best buddy ribbon, that's also close to a Shando, I think. That's definitely very close to a Shando. But we can just go ahead, go for some moves there. I think I always win this on a 2 shield, especially if they go for Shadow Ball. I can just farm them all the way down. I think we should be fine here, as we can go ahead, shield another one. It's only a Shadow Ball. Of course, I would be also able to survive a Shadow Ball, but I don't really want to get that much damage on my Dialga, because I think it's definitely worth it to keep this thing around, especially if they have the Metal coming in here. That's kind of awkward, as we see the Evolta coming in here, and I make a mistake here as well. I should just go straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is single resisted, this is double resisted. I don't know why I went for the Side Strike. The differences is not like that crazy, but it definitely was a misplay here, so we can go ahead, go for another Shadow Ball. put him into range for another Shadow Ball, but they can go ahead, go for one Dark Pulse here now. As we see that we can go for one Iron Head. They get a free fast move through, fine for me. They have a lot of energy now, and now it doesn't really look too good, to be honest, as they are already close to another move, I think. I hope that they don't run Hurricane. They try to catch on their Melmetal. That's pretty nice for me. But if I debuff myself and I lose CMP, I might still be in a pretty tough spot here. As we see a superpower coming through now, easily going to one-shot this, this Melmetal, as we see that we win CMP here. One superpower, stab, neutral, boom, completely annihilate this Yveltal. I didn't actually expect that we would win the CMP tie there, but I definitely take this, and I definitely like this about this Pokemon. As we see a Zacian against us, we can go for one Iron Head. We can try to get a shield here. They usually try to go for 7 fast moves in the beginning, so we swap on the 7s, catching the move on our Mewtwo. Please be a close combat. It's a play rough. Still fine. We at least caught a move. We can see that they go into a Dialga that is best buddied and way higher than ours. I actually still have a 100% Dialga at level 40 or like level 41. Someday I'm gonna push that up, I guess, as well. I wanted to keep it for the time being, as there was still level 40 Master League available. Nowadays, I don't think it's gonna come back, but we have to see. As my opponent can still go for one Iron Head here, we can farm up some extra, like in general, some extra energy, which is very nice. And we see a Kyogre coming in here. We can go ahead, go for one Draco Meteor, they let it go through, they still have a shield left, and they go into their Zacian now. And we know already they have play rough, so this game is over. We can go ahead, go for one Lunge, as we can do some nice damage with this, but like all of our moves are resisted. They can go ahead, go for one play rough here. Going to do some nice damage when they hit, and they can hit it now, which is really awkward, because yeah, that's going to be it for this game. That's going to be our second loss, as we can go for one more Lunge. We're actually going to be able to get a shield here. That's very nice. Can we go for the superpower? We can actually hit the superpower. Is a superpower enough to KO the opponent? It is. This was a neutral scenario. The opponent was a fairy type. The opponent has a fairy type charge move, and the Buzzwole annihilated this Zacian even though it was completely neutral. That's insane. Like, this is literally insane. We see the Dialga against us in the lead here. We have sadly a way worse Dialga, which is not even like best buddied, so there's nothing that we can do here really. As we're gonna swap out here, they go actually for the Thunder, which is very good for us, because it's just better for us that we shield the move that has more energy. And we can go for some side strikes against the incoming Gyarados. Gyarados is very rarely seen, to be honest, so kind of interesting that we see this here right now. And they try to bait me here now with the Aqua Tail. And I'm gonna actually let this move go through, because I kind of wanted to farm this thing down with my Buzzwole now, as I know already that I can destroy the Dialga. And maybe they're double weak to Buzzwole, which could be the case. We have to see now. Let's see what they're going into after this one. They can go for an Aqua Tail, putting us at basically half health. And we see a Zacian coming in. And yeah, this is usually a good game, I guess, as we can go into our Dialga and they can just go ahead, go for one charge move. Yeah, it's game over. Like, they go for one close combat here. They go into their own Dialga and they stop tapping. I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened here. I guess my opponent's app crashed or whatever, but I guess I take it. I don't know, like, I literally don't know what happened there. He could have just stayed in and he would have easily won this, I think. But he decided not to. I don't know, literally. Maybe his internet died. I take it. This was a little bit of a cheap win. I don't think I would have won this otherwise, but hey, I take it, as we see a Giratina in the lead. As we see a Gardevoir safe swap. Guess which Pokemon is in the back? Yeah, this is of course something that I cannot really deal with this team. The funny thing about this matchup here is also like, do I go for the Shadow Ball here, or is actually one Size Strike already enough? Gardevoir is super squishy. You see already how low it is. We only had like resisted damage against it yet, and this Size Strike completely destroys it. So good for me. But what is bad for me is that they most likely have another Fairy type in the back. Like, there is next to no reason for them to run Gardevoir there instead of, like, no, what's it called? Not Umbreon. The Sylveon or the Togekiss. So the likelihood of them having another Charmander in the back is basically 100%, as we can see here. And yeah, we have a Moose Dot still on our Mewtwo. We can still go for this move here. You can see if we can still maybe come back from it. As I thought of going into the Buzzwole here, trying to get the move off in time, but I don't think I would have. I actually would have been able to swap out. But I go in for my side strike here, and at the end it didn't really matter because I wouldn't have been able to KO this thing anyway. I wouldn't have got to the move anyway, and I wouldn't have been able to KO him. So here we can still go for a last ditch superpower and getting our final loss here. As now we're going to see most likely only wins, as we see a Mewtwo in the lead. Mewtwo against our Dialga, pretty decent matchup. We can just usually win this in the 2-shield scenario, just farming them all the way down, as we can go ahead, go for an Iron Head here, get the first shield from the opponent. And we have to shield, of course, if they go for one Focus Burst, this would be a GG. But they decide not to, and they go for a Side Strike here. And I'm not gonna risk it, I'm going to shield here. And that was definitely the right decision, as they go ahead, go for the Focus Blast. And now we can farm them all the way down, they go into the Melmetal, and we see a Dialga coming in. And this is just beautiful. We can go ahead, go for one Side Strike here. The Side Strike will get the final shield from my opponent here. Else we can go ahead and let this Iron Head go through. We can still survive it. We can still get to one Shadow Ball with 1 HP in a Dream, as this will do some massive damage. We can go into our own Dialga. We have so much energy here. We can go for one Iron Head. We can try to KO this thing. And we will be able to now go for one Draco, and we can swap out into our Buzzwole, winning us the game, as they have literally nothing to do here. They can go for some Rock Slides if they want to, but I don't know how much it's gonna help them. As we see here that the Rock Slide doesn't do anything, they go for another Rock Slide. They're just wasting my time. So I thought, let's waste their time as well and go for a Zero Bubble Superpower, just to show some dominance with our muscle boy Buzzwole here, as we can see the final battle. Mewtwo against us again. We can just go ahead and farm down, but they actually go into their Dialga. Dialga definitely doesn't want to take a superpower here, I think. So I go straight for this, and I'm going to be able to completely destroy this Dialga, as we see the Mewtwo coming in, and we can go for more lunges, but no, they decide to rather throw their charge move here. What a smart decision, but it helps us as well, as we can now go into our Dialga. We can go for our Iron Head. We see Peter here on the potential, what's it called, Focus Blast. And we see here that we can go for one Iron Head and should get the first shield from my opponent as well. They're going to swap out now to their Zacian. I will be able to go for an Iron Head here, and I have to try to catch the opponent's move, as they go and shield this move up, of course. And we catch not the move, but I guess we kind of caught the move. It's most likely a play rough now. It is a play rough. It is fine for me, as I can still just barely go for my Side Strike here, which should be a CMP tie. Means my opponent doesn't really have a lot of energy. And I thought, okay, can I farm them down now at the end? We have to see here. We can farm them down. We can farm, but can we farm them down is the question. We can go for one Iron Head though, and this will be enough to KO this thing. They can go for one more charge move, and we will be able to farm them all the way down and win us the game here. Thanks for watching. See you next video. Have a great rest of your day. Buzzwole is very good in every league.